June 15, 1940, 0520 hours, southern England, above the English Channel. Low clouds hang over the water. Radar stations light up along the coast. This mission is simple. Intercept incoming German bombers, protect British cities, hold the sky. The pilot in the cockpit is Flight Lieutenant James Johnny Collins, 24 years old, Royal Air Force, Spitfire pilot. He has already flown 3 sorties today. Then the warning comes. Bandits inbound, multiple contacts, Angels 15. The enemy is coming. World War II is remembered for tanks rolling across Europe, for soldiers storming beaches, for cities reduced to rubble. But long before armies collapsed, before borders disappeared, before surrender papers were signed, the war was already being decided, not on land, not at sea, but in the sky. Because in World War II, whoever controlled the air controlled everything below it. When the war began in 1939, many leaders still doubted air power. In World War I, planes had been slow, fragile, inaccurate. Most generals believed infantry and artillery won wars. They were wrong. Germany understood this first. The Luftwaffe was fast and modern. Messerschmitt fighters, Stuka dive bombers, Heinkel bombers flying in tight formations. This was Blitzkrieg. German aircraft smashed airfields, destroyed supply lines, cleared the way for tanks and troops. Poland fell fast. France collapsed in weeks. Germany looked unstoppable, but their air force had a flaw. It was built for short wars, not long ones. That mistake would soon be exposed. Back in the cockpit, Collins pushes the throttle forward. The Spitfire climbs hard. Red section, follow me. Black dots appear ahead, dozens of them. German bombers, escorted by fighters. The sky fills with engines. Contact, brake left. Combat explodes instantly. Short bursts of cannon fire. Tracers cut through the air. A Messerschmitt flashes past. Collins pulls hard. The aircraft shudders. He lines up his sights. Fires. The enemy fighter dives away, trailing smoke. But there's no time to celebrate. Bombers are still pushing through. This is the Battle of Britain, the first major war fought almost entirely in the air. Germany must destroy the Royal Air Force. Only then can they invade Britain. But Britain has something new. Radar. Early warning gives British pilots precious minutes. They launch only when needed. They conserve fuel. They choose when to fight. German bombers are intercepted again and again. Losses grow. For the first time, Germany fails. Hitler postpones the invasion. The message is clear. If you don't control the sky, you don't control the war. Flak bursts nearby. Collins feels the odor. The engine coughs. Oil splatters the canopy. Red leader hit. I'm damaged. Smoke pours from the nose. The aircraft is losing power. A German fighter drops in behind him. Rounds tear through the wing. Warning lights flash. Collins dives toward the clouds. He pushes the Spitfire to its limit. The enemy overshoots. Collins pulls up and fires one last burst. The German fighter spirals down. Silence returns. Barely. Collins limps back to base. Wheels down. Engine dying. He lands hard but alive. Another aircraft lost. Another pilot survives. Many did not. But Britain endures and the air war evolves. As the war expands, air power changes again. Strategic bombing begins. Allied bombers fly deep into enemy territory. Factories, oil refineries, railways, cities, B-17S Lancasters. Hundreds of crews lost. German skies turn into fire. At first, bombers suffer terribly. Then comes the solution. Long-range fighter escorts. The P-51 Mustang. For the first time, Allied fighters hunt the enemy over Germany itself. Experienced German pilots are killed. Replacements are rushed. Training collapses. By 1944, Germany has planes, but not pilots. The sky is no longer theirs. In the east, the air war is just as brutal. Thousands of aircraft clash over the Soviet Union. The Red Air Force adapts. Il-2 Sturmovix hammer German ground forces. Factories move east. Production surges. Germany cannot keep up. The balance shifts. In the Pacific, everything changes again. Battleships fall behind. Aircraft carriers take over. At Midway, 4 Japanese carriers are destroyed in one day. From then on, the Pacific War is decided from the air. Japan cannot replace pilots, cannot replace ships. Air power decides the ocean. Technology races forward. Radar improves. Jets appear. Germany's Me-262 is revolutionary, but it arrives too late. No fuel, no pilots, no time. The Allies flood the skies instead. Quantity becomes a weapon. June 6, 1944. D-Day. Allied aircraft dominate the sky over Normandy. Bridges destroyed, railways cut, German reinforcements delayed. Troops land under air cover. Without air superiority, the invasion fails. With it, Europe begins to fall back. By the final years of the war, the outcome is certain. Germany is out of fuel, Japan is out of pilots, Allied aircraft roam freely. The war on the ground only confirms what the sky already decided. Then comes the final blow. August 1945, atomic bombs fall from aircraft, the ultimate expression of air power. World War II was not won by a single battle. It was won above the clouds. Air power crushed industries, protected invasions, shattered enemy morale. After 1945, no major war would ever ignore the sky, because the lesson was learned the hard way. The future of warfare belongs to whoever controls the air. And in World War II, the sky decided everything.